Thursday and happy game week, GC Nation. I'm your host, Kendall Smith, and this is the GC Roundup presented by Clint Hammond of the Mortgage Network, where we keep you up to speed on everything you need to know in Gamecock Nation. There's so much to tackle on this week's show between Zeb Noland, what's happening on the football field, and Luke Doty's return. You don't want to miss any of it, and we'll get into it right now. We'll kick off episode 4 of the GC Roundup with a piece of news that many of you already know. It has been in all of the headlines surrounding Gamecock football this week, and that is the fact that Zeb Noland, a former graduate assistant coach for the Gamecocks, will make the start at quarterback this weekend during South Carolina's season opener against Eastern Illinois at 7 p.m. on Saturday at Williams-Brice Stadium. On Tuesday, head coach Shane Beamer spoke to the media about the decision, and here's what he had to say.
In all seriousness, we named Zeb Noland our starting quarterback for this week. He's a guy, obviously he has Power 5 experience. It wasn't that long ago. He played in a playoff game a few months ago. He is very efficient, getting us in and out of the huddle, commanding the offense, controlling what's going on out there. He has a great understanding of what we're doing offensively because he spent the entire summer, as I know he told you guys, drawing up the playbook and coaching. So we've got a lot of confidence in Zeb being able to go out there and operate at a high level on Saturday night. We're not asking him to go win the football game. We'll never ask our quarterbacks to do that. We want to.
On Wednesday, it was Marcus Satterfeld, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, who spoke to the media about the decision to start Zeb Noland on Saturday. We'll roll some clips here as to what he had to say.
He gave us the best chance right now, early on in the season, to play clean football. And I think that's, when it's all said and done, we got to give ourselves a chance to win the game, and I think he gives us that.
Since the news broke on Tuesday that Zeb Noland will be the starter this week, Gamecock fans have already rallied behind the graduate assistant turned quarterback, with my personal favorite shout out to Zeb Noland being at the Cotton Gin Bar in 5 Points. A sign reads, "In Zeb We Trust," outside of the bar, and shout out to Mike Yuba for sharing that photo on Twitter the other day. Now, for all of my GC Roundup watchers, if you commented on our episode last week saying you think Zeb Noland will be the starter, well, congratulations, round of applause to you. You were correct. But this week, I have a different question for you all. How do you feel about Zeb Noland being the starter? Do you think Jason Brown got gypped? Let me know in the comments if you are watching this video. But speaking of Jason Brown, he spoke to the media on Tuesday afternoon as well. Here's what he had to say about the quarterback situation.
So I actually talked to Beamer yesterday, but you kind of get a feel for things as the week plays out beforehand. So like Saturday and Sunday, I kind of saw like how it was going with the reps, like how they were broken up and everything. So I kind of had a feeling how it was going to go, so I kind of prepared myself for it. I'm not going to lie, I mean, it hurt just because there was times I would just think like, man, did all this work I put in since February kind of just amount to nothing?
Now, I said it in a tweet the other day, as did many others, but Jason Brown, I personally don't think, could have handled this situation any better. He has so much class, so much poise, so much grace, and he really did step out onto that podium in a really difficult situation and handle himself with true graciousness. So a big shout out to Jason Brown for the way that he composed himself at the podium the other day in front of the media during a very, I'm sure, disappointing time.
So I love Zeb, and I hope he does the best. I'm not going to sit here and hope that he does bad or gets hurt or anything like that. That's not me. I hope he succeeds because that means the team's going to succeed.
Now, we'll continue the quarterback conversation on the GC Roundup today. I feel like this show shouldn't even be called the GC Roundup. It should just be called Quarterbacks 101 with the Gamecock Central crew, because that is all we seem to talk about on the show. But some good news for you, Gamecocks, on this week's edition of Good News Gamecocks. Luke Doty's prognosis is looking better and better, and he is expected to potentially be back in pads as early as next week. Here's what head coach Shane Beamer had to say about it.
Just what's the realistic timeline of when he might be able to actually put on some pads and practice with you guys?
I would hope, if not this week, certainly next week. Our Luke was out there, didn't really do much. Doubt he's going to be 100% Saturday night, but he was out there at practice.
In today's edition of Unfiltered on the GC Roundup, head coach Shane Beamer weighed in as to whether or not Zeb Noland is Uncle Rico. Check out what he had to say.
Let's not I know what the narrative may be out there, so let's forget about and lose the narrative of he hasn't played a football game in 2 or 3 years, and he was walking up and down the halls like Uncle Rico talking about what he did back in the day as a quarterback. He played quarterback a couple months ago.
I don't know about you all, but I am loving these press conferences this year with Gamecock football. They have so much color, they have so much personality, and I feel like that's such a breath of fresh air. I'm loving these hot takes and these comments that we're getting. They're really keeping us on our toes, but at the same time, they make things super entertaining. But switching gears now to the volleyball court, Gamecock women's volleyball on a roll recently this past weekend, taking down 2 ranked opponents, number 18 Washington State and number 23 Rice, who they faced in the Carolina Classic. I had the opportunity to speak with head coach Tom Mendoza this week on GC Exclusives. Here's a clip of what he had to say, and that episode will drop on Friday afternoon.
We could have lost against Washington State. We could have lost against Rice, even though we played well, just because, anytime you're playing a top-level team, that's a possibility. So, thankfully, it wasn't much for our group, and we were able to get 2 of those wins.
On the topic of GC Exclusives, last week I had the opportunity to sit down with the head women's soccer coach at South Carolina, Shelly Smith, in an interview, and the women's soccer team off to a fantastic start during their 2021 campaign, 4-0 to start the season, and they are currently ranked 12th in the United Coaches poll. They'll take on Boston College tonight at home at 7 o'clock p.m., and here is Shelly Smith's pitch as to why you should come out and watch some women's soccer.
What's your pitch as to why they need to come out to Stone Stadium, the Graveyard, and watch a women's soccer game?
Yeah, I think we've heard a lot of comments at times for people that have come out for the first time. I mean, even if you don't understand the game of soccer that well, you come out and you respect what these women are doing.
The men's soccer team picked up their first win of the 2021 season on Sunday over the Winthrop Eagles with a final score of 4-1. And to my brother Drake, if you are watching, a former Winthrop baseball player, we got the best of you this time. And it always feels good when South Carolina is able to take down the Winthrop Eagles. Here's what head coach Tony Annan had to say about that victory.
Pleased with the win. Pleased to play in front of a packed stadium with a great atmosphere. I'm very pleased for the boys and very pleased for the team.
Not only does the men's soccer team play at home on Friday, but they play against the team I shall not name from the upstate of South Carolina at 7 o'clock p.m. The women's volleyball team will also take on that team at 1 o'clock p.m. on Friday. So if you want to see 2 opportunities for South Carolina to take down the team that shall not be named from the upstate, you can head to the Carolina Volleyball Center at 1 o'clock p.m. on Friday and Stone Stadium at 7 o'clock p.m. 2 great games in store and 2 opportunities to beat South Carolina's big rival. I have a special shout out in order for this week on the GC Roundup, and that goes out to Michael Sauls, a dear friend of mine, also an intern at Gamecock Central. And he was on the Paul Feinbaum show last week on the SEC Network. He did a fantastic job, and I know he was giving me grief last week for not giving him a shout out on the GC Roundup. So this week, a shout out goes out to you, Michael. Congratulations for being on the Paul Feinbaum show. A huge accomplishment, and you did a really, really great job. I'm proud to call you a friend. And let's check out a clip from Michael on the SEC Network.
Obviously, fans would love to see the South Carolina Gamecocks back to how they were during the Spurrier days.
Okay, GC Nation, I need your score predictions for Saturday's game. Be sure to let me know down below what you think the final score of Saturday's game against Eastern Illinois is going to be. We have so much in store for you on Gamecock Central. You do not want to miss any of it if you are not already subscribed. Be sure you subscribe to Gamecock Central. Myself, along with Michael Sauls and Wes Mitchell, will be at the game on Saturday, giving you all of the coverage and more that you could possibly need. Unfortunately, Colin Taylor is bailing on us this weekend to go to Seattle, Washington, so give him a little bit of heck in the comments. And shout out to Wes for coming out to hang out with me and Michael on Saturday and get some work done in covering the Gamecocks. It's going to be a great game, and I would love to know your score predictions down below. But that is going to do it for this edition of the GC Roundup presented by Clint Hammond of the Mortgage Network. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I love keeping you up to speed on everything you need to know in Gamecock Nation. It's game week. Stay up, stay positive. A great season is in store for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Again, we are going to speak it into existence. I hope that you all have an amazing week. Have fun and be safe on Saturday, and I will see you during episode 5 of the GC Roundup. Subscribe to Gamecock Central, and we'll see you soon.